The Word of God says, open quotes, "I love you, O Lord, my strength. The Lord is my rock, my fortress, and my deliverer. My God, my rock, in whom I take refuge, my shield and the strength of my salvation, my high tower. I will call upon the Lord, who is worthy to be praised, and I will be saved from my enemies. The cords of death surrounded me, and torrents of ungodliness terrified me. The cords of the grave surrounded me, the snares of death confronted me. In my distress, I called upon the Lord and cried out to my God. He heard my voice from his temple, and my cry came before him to his ears. Then the earth shook and trembled. The foundations of the hills also quaked and were shaken because he was angry. Smoke went up from his nostrils, and devouring fire from his mouth. Coals were kindled by it. He bowed the heavens and came down with darkness under his feet. He rode upon a cherub and flew. Yes, he flew on the wings of the wind. He made darkness his secret place. His canopy around him was dark waters and thick clouds. From the brightness before him, his thick clouds passed with hailstones and coals of fire. The Lord thundered in the heavens, and the Most High uttered his voice, hailstones and coals of fire. He sent out his arrows and scattered them. He shot out lightning and discomforted them. Then the channels of the sea were seen, and the foundations of the world were uncovered at your rebuke. O Lord, at the blast of the breath of your nostrils. He reached down from on high and took me. He drew me out of many waters. He delivered me from my strong enemy and from those who hated me, for they were too strong for me. They confronted me in the day of my calamity, but the Lord was my support. He also brought me out into a broad place. He delivered me because he delighted in me." Close quotes. Psalm 18 is a powerful declaration of praise and gratitude to God, highlighting his protection and power in times of adversity. The psalmist begins with a declaration of love. "I love you, O Lord, my strength." This statement recognizes that God is the source of strength and security. In a world filled with uncertainties, it is crucial to anchor our identity and safety in our relationship with God. "The Lord is my rock, my fortress, and my deliverer" emphasizes the stability we find in God. The rock symbolizes safety and firmness, while the fortress represents protection. These metaphors remind us that, regardless of the storms we face, we can take refuge in God's presence. He is not just a shield, he is the strength that saves us. The psalmist describes the intensity of his anguish. "The cords of death surrounded me." He expresses the despair that many of us know. It is normal, in times of crisis, to feel surrounded by problems that seem insurmountable. The important thing is that in his pain, he calls upon the Lord. "In my distress, I called upon the Lord and cried out to my God." This plea is a reminder that even in the darkest hours, we should turn our hearts to God. He is our refuge in times of difficulty. The psalmist reveals God's response to his prayer. "He heard my voice from his temple." This statement is powerful. When we cry out to God, we know our pleas reach him. Often, the answer may not be immediate, but the assurance that he is listening is an invaluable comfort. The description of the Lord as someone who becomes indignant and reacts to injustices is a reminder that God is not indifferent to suffering. "The earth shook and trembled" reflects the depth of God's action in response to the cry of his people. This powerful metaphor reminds us that when God acts, profound and significant changes occur. The portrayal of God as a warrior who intervenes on our behalf is comforting. "He bowed the heavens and came down" suggests that he is not distant but actively involved in our struggles. The imagery of smoke, fire, and storms symbolizes his majesty and power. God is a God who fights for us, who removes the obstacles that surround us. "He delivered me from my strong enemy" is a testimony to the victory God grants. The psalmist acknowledges that the enemies are strong, but affirms that God is stronger. This is a truth we must remember. No matter how great our challenges, God is greater than any adversity we face. The conclusion of the psalm highlights the result of God's intervention. "He also brought me out into a broad place. He delivered me because he delighted in me." This broad space symbolizes freedom and relief. When God delivers us, he places us in a place of peace and safety, away from the pressures and oppressions of life. This promise of deliverance and well-being is a powerful encouragement to trust in him. Application for today. Psalm 18 invites us to reflect on the strength and protection we find in God. In times of crisis, it is vital to turn our hearts to Him, recognizing that He is our rock and fortress. We must remember that our prayers are heard, and that even in the most difficult circumstances, God is present and active in our lives. The metaphor of the warrior God who fights for us should encourage us to face our challenges with courage. We are not alone. We have a God who cares and who acts on our behalf. As we remember how God has delivered us in the past, we find motivation to trust Him in our current struggles. Additionally, the broad space that God offers us is a reminder that true freedom brings peace and security. In a world filled with uncertainties, we should seek this freedom in God, knowing that He desires us to be in a place of rest and protection. Finally, we should express our love and gratitude to God for His faithfulness. Praising God, even in difficult times, is an act of faith that draws us closer to Him and strengthens our spirit. As we reflect on the depth of God's love, we are inspired to share this truth with others, pointing to the source of our strength and hope.